Hey everybody, welcome to this storefront demo of the Legas flavor of the Evolution e-commerce platform. Maybe a good place to start on the storefront would be the look and feel of the software and some of the options that you have there as the dealer. There's basically two options. Option number one is what we operate, what we would call a theme-based system. Some people call it templates. We don't like that word, we think it sucks. And the reason the word template sucks is because it kind of conjures up a whole bunch of negative ideas in people's minds. So the minute you hear the word template, you start to think that it's going to lack flexibility, it's going to be quite rigid, there's going to be very limited scope for customization. Well, our theme-based system is just the opposite to that. So there are different themes in the back end, and it's very easy to move between themes. And then within each theme, there's a whole bunch of customization that you can do. So, for example, you can customize things like the logo, color scheme, all the banner content on the website. So things like this big savings banner. If you wanted to change that, then it's very, very simple to do that from the back end of the software. And you aren't just limited to banners on the home page, because we can take that whole idea of banner management and we can move that into the product. So again, as an example, you can add banners to things like category pages, and you can also add things also add banners to things like keyword search results as well. So what that means is somebody searches for Kimberly Clark, toilet paper, then the system's going to bring back the normal results for that type of search, but you can push some banner content right at the top of those results. And the net result of that is there's tons of capability and scope for doing merchandising and marketing on the website. Very, very powerful from that point of view. It's really simple to customize things like the special offers, add these Facebook and Twitter buttons to the website. So that's the customization within each theme. Option number two is we could build you a custom homepage design, and we would kind of do that to your specification, working within just a few parameters, a few little caveats within the system in terms of maximum width of the template and one or two other things, but to the largest extent you would have a blank sheet of paper. So options 1 and 2 on design are theme-based and custom. Then we go ahead and dive into the data. So at this point it's really important to note that the software would come delivered to you preloaded with all the Legas e-content. We keep that up to date. You don't need to do anything to make that happen, so that becomes our responsibility to keep that data fresh and work with the guys at Legas to get a regular feed of the data. And it all happens when you're in bed sleeping. There's nothing required from your point of view to keep the site fresh and up to date. Now, of course, you aren't just limited to Legas products. You are free to add in what we would call your own products, and an own product would just be something that we don't manage. So anything that's non-Legas, there are things like Excel spreadsheet import routines and some other stuff that you can use to get those own products into the system. So just as an example, we've gone janitorial supply, let's click through on cleaners and detergents. From here I'm going to select dishwashing detergents, and we're going to get a whole bunch of products. So at this point it's going to serve us up loads of things, but we really need some tools to filter this result, to narrow the search. So the way that we can do that is we could say, okay, just give me the stuff that's suitable for automatic dishwashers. And just by clicking on one little button, all of a sudden we've gone from 25 pages of results down to just a few products. And of course you can continue to refine and refine until you find the product selection that you're interested in. Beyond that, we can click through on the product to get the detail information. That's going to tell you things like the description, the big picture, any selling text that we have against this item, downloadable MSDS sheets for this product if you need that type of functionality. And then underneath that, things like the attributes for this item. Where the data supports it, guys, we can also show you things like alternative products, related products, and customers can do nice things like leave reviews on items. And of course, if they leave a review on the front end, that's going to come through to you on the back end of the software, where you can approve that and have it show up on the front end, or you could reject that for whatever reason. Something that's really worth pointing out at this stage is some really nice integration that we have with the social networking platforms. So for example, we've got the Facebook like button, but it's more than that, it's also the comments engine as well. So straight from the product page on the website, the customer could leave a message like, "This is a great product, you should buy it." Okay? As soon as they click post to Facebook, everybody who follows them on Facebook is going to see that message with a deep link straight to this product page. And that is just one example of more and more and more stuff you're going to see from us on the social side of things. We think that's a really big deal, and Facebook and Twitter can be very, very powerful tools for marketing your business. So a good start would be to have the like button and the comments engine integrated, and then beyond that we're going to do more over time. For the next part to make sense, I need to go ahead and log in as a customer, and I think it's important to note at this point the Evolution is quite unique in its ability to support both B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to consumer, and do both of those things really well on the one website. Now what that means from a practical point of view is that if some person comes on the site and they want to spend $200 on the credit card, then that's cool, and that customer's going to get a nice consumer experience. It's going to feel really, really good. However, if the next person who comes along is the CFO of a big company, and that user needs things like budget controls and authorization tools and hierarchy and reports and cost centers and departments and all this really rich procurement functionality, then that's cool as well, because all of those things are in there and you can switch them on and off at the customer level. So just to be clear, I'm logging in here as the second option there, the sort of CFO type login, for no other reason than just to give you a flavour for everything that the software can do for a customer. Clearly, if I was a credit card customer, I wouldn't be able to see half these options, because this is the CFO type login. So very quickly from the top, blasted through this list here, you've got My Wish List and Group Wish List. The difference between those two things is that My Wish List is a user level wish list. Some people call it favorites as well. And as the user moves through the site, they can tag items and add them to their wish list. The wish list kind of looks like this. So it's going to show you a nice picture of the product and description. It's going to group everything together automatically, so it's going to put all the detergents together, all the grocery bags together, make things nice and easy to find. And the whole point in the wish list is it's a place you can add products that you're going to buy on a regular basis, so that you don't have to remember how to find it the next time you come back to the website. So if My Wish List is a user level list, then Group Wish List is exactly the same thing, except it's maintained at the company level. So it's a company level list, probably managed by the sort of CFO type login, and so it can only be managed at that level, but of course everybody else can see the changes. So that's the difference, user level, company level. Then we come to the contract items list. So this would be you know, the 50, the 100, the 500 special prices that you've agreed with the customer. You could store them in their contract list, and they could come and access those products at their special prices. Now there's a whole bunch of additional logic that surrounds that. So for example, you can lock certain users into the contract list so that all they can do is buy from that list and check out, because that's a requirement that you might get from some of the bigger customers. So I won't go into it in the demo, but there's a whole bunch of additional functionality that surrounds users and contracts lists, and you can get very, very granular with the controls there. Next one up I want to mention, I'll just skip some of the more mundane stuff. I want to jump to group users. This is probably one of the most important parts of the product. And group users is the ability to have an unlimited number of users per company and then decide what each one of these guys can or can't do when they log in. So let's click through and see what you get on a user. So when you first click through on the user ID, you're going to get what we call the static information for this user. So that would be things like, you know, what's the billing address, the shipping address, the telephone number, all that kind of stuff. And then as you move through these tabs along the top, you start to get some extended information on this user. So for example, are they allowed to see cost centers and departments and access multiple ship-to addresses? Do they need to be locked into the contract list? And we kind of just discussed what that meant a few seconds ago. And then on the right hand side you've got a whole bunch of approval controls that you can use and set up. So you could say something like this: user could spend $200 on any single order, or $5,000 a month, and if they go over, send the orders to the CFO for approval. So those hierarchy type approval controls are baked right into the product, and if you can find the right company who can use those type of controls, then the CFO will just love you for that type of control. So if we go back up a level, we've got things like the address book for the company, departments, cost centers. You can add a cost center value to each line on the shopping cart. That's going to come through in the order information for billing purposes. And beyond that, you can also use it as a reporting function. So for example, the customer could log in and say, okay, give me total spend breakdown by cost center for the last 6 months. They can view all orders they've placed in the past and then click through to get the detail. They're going to see things like billing, shipping, line information, including any cost centers, and notes where available, and then the totals underneath. And it's also worth mentioning at this stage that they can reorder from a previous order too. So they just click that little button, and that's going to take all the items in that order and put them back in the shopping cart. And the last thing on this account panel I'll mention is saved shopping cart. So that's quite a nice feature because it really does sort of feed into how people use these things in the real world. So you know, people like to start an order on a Monday, add some things to it, save it, bring it back up on the Tuesday, add a few more things to it, and then send it on the Wednesday. So using saved shopping carts, they've got those controls. They can do those types of order build up over a period of time. And the last thing, and we're going to finish with this one, which is the rewards program. So kind of what's like this. It's where you could say for every new customer that registers on the website, we want to give them 500 points. And 1 point for every dollar they spend thereafter. And when they've got 50 billion points, give them the iPad 2 or the TomTom or whatever you decide they can get for that points value. So that ability for the system or for the customer to accumulate points based on some rules that have been set up, and then for the dealer or for you to set up some rules about what they can get, what gift items they can access when they have enough points. And most importantly, make sure that once those rules are set up, then the whole thing just becomes self-managing and the system takes care of it. And the rewards program is a fantastic way to build loyalty and get customers to come back to the website. So guys, that was pretty much everything I was going to show you on the front end. I hope that makes sense. Watch out for the second video, which is on the admin panel. That might answer some questions that you have, so make sure you watch the admin panel video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.